Jeff's Superscript is brought to you by Black Cat Comics and Collectibles, in my opinion, the best comic shop and clubhouse on the internet. Make sure to follow them at Black Cat Burbank on Instagram and ask them about their Stray Cats Club for special perks. Hi, I'm Jeff, and welcome to another one of my videos where I take a look at all the new comic books coming out on either September 28th or 29th, 2021. And I ask myself the question, what one new comic book would I buy this week if I could buy just one book? First off, I'm happy to say that this is a much better week than we've had in months. It's been months since we've had a week this good. So I'm really excited to say that. I just hope that this is just the first of many weeks to come where I can still say that. But let's go ahead and jump into the content of this video. First, by taking a look back at my pick from 2 weeks ago, which was Primordial, issue number 1, and the question remains, was it a worthy and worthwhile pick to be my just one book pick of the week? And the answer is yes. Yeah, I really liked it. You know, I'm kind of a nerd for space things, and so this is right up my alley, but it was also kind of like there seems to be a conspiracy going on, and there's also an element of kind of the fantastic and supernatural, for lack of a better way of putting it. It's firing on a lot of cylinders for me, so I really enjoyed it. It kind of takes place in an alternate reality from the one that we know. In this reality, Nixon is the president, but not when he was president as we know in our reality, earlier. I believe he ran for president against Kennedy and lost to Kennedy. So in this reality, he actually beat Kennedy. So in the early 60s, he was president, and the space program has been canceled because they sent these animals into space and they never came back. But there's much more to the story there. So it was actually pretty cool, pretty interesting. It's based in our history, but not like tied in to our history. I've really enjoyed it, the first issue, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what's to come from it, and I will absolutely be reading the rest of the series. So if you had a chance to read Primordial, I'd like to know down in the comments what you thought of it. Tell me, did you like it? Did you thought it was cool? Did you thought it was cool? Do you think it is cool? And are you going to keep reading it? Or did you read it and you're not into it? Or you didn't read it and you plan on checking it out or not? Let me know what your thoughts are on Primordial down in the comments. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the books that are coming out this week. First, we'll start with my 5 honorable mentions, and then we will wrap it up with my just one book pick for this week. My first honorable mention goes to a new book. It is called Unborn, issue number 1 from Source Point Press. Here is the description. For fans of Alien and Power Rangers, on a strange world, 5 explorers mine for superfuels in a last-ditch effort to save a collapsing Earth. But the mission goes to hell when they are overrun by a hostile alien species. With humanity's survival hanging in the balance, the crew must eradicate the deadly horde and salvage the mission. But what if the monsters aren't the only things they have to worry about? What if the most dangerous threat facing the crew is each other? Bum, bum, bum. A little bit of a joke, little, organ sting that I added there at the end aside. This actually sounds pretty interesting. It sounds like it could be pretty, I like to say this a lot. Sounds like it could be pretty cool. Sounds like it could be a fun, entertaining read with high stakes and adventure. So yeah, I think that this might be worth checking out. If you're looking to kind of go deep this weekend, so to speak, and check out an indie number 1 for all the reasons that we talk about every time in one of these videos that we talk about indie number 1s, which is, who knows, it might be that lottery ticket for the future, might be the next big thing. This would be a good one, I think, to check out this week if you want to check out something new. All right, next, we are going to move on to my next honorable mention. Through the return of a feature in one of these videos that hasn't been around for quite a while. It is the return of Kate's Corner. Yes, Kate's Corner returns this week. We have 2 books that we are going to be talking about that are written by Donnie Cates that I wanted to bring to your attention this week. The first one I want to mention is Crossover, issue number 8 from Image Comics. Here's the description. Meanwhile is the title of this issue. Part 1, after the massive events of the last arc, and not counting that weird issue that Chip wrote, what the hell was that all about? The adventure continues as new foes and new allies join the fold to uncover a deadly mystery beyond the walls of the dome. With special guest appearances by Redacted by Legal. Okay, so this description is pushing all the buttons that Crossover was pushing from the beginning for people, thinking that they were going to see crossovers of comic book characters potentially from DC, from Marvel, from all sorts of comic book publishers in this book. It's what got people so excited about this book in the first place. And they're touching on that again by saying special guest appearances, S by the way, plural, by Redacted by Legal. So we might be seeing more of crossover characters like we did with Madman in this book. So that's something to be excited about. On the other hand, this title did not deliver to people the way that they had hoped. They thought they were going to be like Batman and Wolverine in this comic book, and that didn't happen. It was very unlikely that was ever going to happen. I think people's expectations were a little bit unfounded. But all of that aside, and I think, before I put it aside, I'm going to say that I think the fact that people's expectations weren't met hurt this book. People were really, really excited about issue number 1, and then as the series went through 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, they got a lot less interested because it didn't have that crossover significance that people thought. But now I'm going to put that aside, and I'm going to say I enjoyed it. I enjoyed reading it. I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the concept. I enjoyed what they presented me. In fact, it ended really strong as far as I was concerned. Issue number 7 was the one written by Chip Zdarsky. It was an interesting fun little side tale in the crossover universe, so to speak. But now we're back with the main storyline written by Donny Cates. I'm optimistic for it. I like Donny Cates, and I think that this story has potential, and that's why I'm putting it on my honorable mentions this week. The other book that I want to mention this week in Cates' Corner is Thor, issue number 17 from Marvel Comics. Here's the description. The epic finale of Revelations. Thor, ruler of Asgard, can now focus on just that, ruling. But with power comes truth, and Thor will learn that being king isn't so simple. When havoc on Midgard begins, Mjolnir seems to have vanished under the Avengers' watch, and Thor must learn more than one truth this day. The shocking conclusion of Revelations that no one will see coming is here. Okay, well, that's exciting what they say there at the end. The shocking conclusion of Revelations that no one will see coming is here. Donny Cates, I think, is really good at giving you oh wow moments in his comic books. It's part of what I enjoy about his stuff so much. He is like, movies that are just really action-packed and exciting and with lots of twists and turns that you're just popping popcorn and you're just like, wow, check it out. He's that kind of writer for me, and that's what I like about the work that he does. And Thor has been, I'm not a Thor guy, I've said this before in the many videos where I've talked about this title, but I really like this Thor title written by Donny Cates. So I'm just excited about it this week. I'm excited to get a chance to read Thor. They seem to not be coming out as regularly as I would like them to. So I'm really excited to see this one, and I'm really excited to see how this storyline ends and how it might tee up the next storyline. All right, let's continue with my honorable mentions for the week by doing another special segment in this video. Yes, we get 2 of them this week. It is the return of Tynan Time. Yes, Tynan Time is back once again. We see Tynan Time more often than the other special sections that we do. It's because I'm such a big fan of his. But he is putting out some books here this week that I'm really excited about, and they are on my honorable mentions, so here you go. The first one I want to mention is The Department of Truth, issue number 13 from Image Comics. Here's the description. End of story arc. 30 years ago, Cole Turner dreamed up a star-faced man who ate children in the basement of his preschool. Today, Cole is going to make sure that nightmare can never haunt another kid. The second arc of the smash hit The Department of Truth ends here with a revelation that turns the series upside down. Well, there was a revelation in the previous issue that was really pretty interesting and noteworthy. It sounds like they're going to try to top it here with this one. And what the Department of Truth has been doing is they have their main story arcs, and then they have 2 issues that are kind of like a look back to the history of the Department of Truth. And because they take these 2-issue breaks in the main storyline, I think that it's all that much more important that the end of these story arcs are significant and they kind of grab you and they make you think, well, I'm definitely going to read the next 2 Back in Time stories, and I can't wait until we get back to the present day narrative of what's happening in the Department of Truth. So I expect this to be a really good issue, a really exciting end of the arc. I mean, it's by my guy, James Tynion IV. This guy does such a good job. I'm such a huge fan of this title. I expect high expectations every time I read one of these issues, and they're either met or surpassed every time. I'm amazed by him. I'm amazed by this book. I'm amazed at you if you aren't already reading this book. If you aren't, I would jump on with this one. I know it's the end of an arc, but just like jump. I don't think there's a bad time to jump on. I would jump on. I'd buy every single issue you could. I can't say enough good things about this book. Buy it, read it if you're not already. All right, continuing with Tynion Time this week, I'm going to mention my last honorable mention, which is Something is Killing the Children, issue number 20 from Boom Studios. Here's the description. Can Erica withstand the final stages of the mysterious Order of St. George initiation? Erica finally faces her official initiation into the Order of St. George, a torturous process that pits a child against an unrestrained monster and bonds them to it for the rest of their life. Does Erica have what it takes to earn the mark of St. George, embody the oath of secrecy each member of the House of Slaughter makes, and take her rightful place among the Order? The answer to all of that is yes. I mean, we know the answer is all of that is yes. But it should be pretty cool. It should be pretty exciting to check out. Now, I don't know if this origin story of Erica Slaughter was going to just be 5 issues, and that we're going to be past her origin story starting with issue number 21. But it does seem that this issue is kind of wrapping up the plot of her orientation or beginning, phase of joining the Order of St. George. So, and I have to say, as far as an origin story is concerned, well, I think a lot of times origin stories aren't necessarily the best stories stand alone. I do not think that this 5-issue origin story arc has been as good as the original 15 issues, the Archer's Peak saga, as we'll call it. That originally came out in the first 15 issues. But I've really been enjoying this origin story because it gives me information about Erica that I like, namely one thing, which is she was a badass from the beginning. And she's proven that here in this origin story, and I like seeing it. I like knowing that Erica is just simply a natural-born badass. So I'm excited to see how what it appears to be the final phase of this origin story wrap up. And who knows, it might tee up this issue, might tee up the things to come in issue number 21, which I don't know if it's just going to be a continuation once again of Erica's story from this age of her life, or if we're going to jump back and see her in full-on full-grown Erica Slaughter monster killing mode, which I kind of sort of hope they do. I hope we get back to her, seeing her in her current prime. All right, that's the end of Tynion Time and all of the special segments that I have for this video. All we have left to do is to talk about my pick. So the one book that I would buy this week, if I could buy just one book, would be, or is, Amazing Spider-Man issue number 74 from Marvel Comics. Here's the description. It's Amazing Spider-Man number 875, and the whole ASM team is coming together to bring you a massive issue that is the culmination of 3 years of Amazing Spider-Man. It's all led to this: Hunted, Sins Rising, Last Remains, King's Ransom, Chameleon Conspiracy, Sinister War, and so much more, all led to this climax and conclusion to Nick Spencer's landmark run on the best comic book in the world. What will happen when Peter and MJ, Mysterio, J. Jonah Jameson, Norman Osborn, Aunt May, and Kindred? Find out here. So what will happen with all these characters? Find out here. Well, we already know, if people have been paying attention to the comic book industry and what's been going on and what will be going on with Spider-Man, I mean, even at all, it's been really difficult to avoid this spoiler, near impossible. But if you have no idea what is about to happen in Spider-Man, you might want to fast forward until, let's say I'll put my hand up like this, and when I put my hand back down, I'm done with the spoiler, okay? So fast forward until I put my hand down. Okay, here we go. All right, Peter Parker is about to no longer be Spider-Man. He'll be taking a break. Some people thought that he was dying, but I believe like to 99.9% he is not dying. He's just going to be taking a chill as far as Spider-Man is concerned. Ben Reilly, his clone, is going to be taking his place as Spider-Man for the foreseeable future. So this is pretty noteworthy and what has been going on spoiler-wise. Okay. All right, so if you fast forwarded, you're safe now. I'm going to not mention any more spoilers. What I will say is that something very significant is happening in this book. There are going to be changes. And so for that reason, it's alone. I mean, listen, these type of things happen in comic books to sell comic books. They're doing this to make you go out and buy comic books. They're doing this kind of stuff so that people like me make videos and say, this thing is happening in Amazing Spider-Man. Spider-Man's world is changing. It's my just one book pick of the week. So whether or not that this event will be significant long-term is, I mean, I was going to say it's hard to say, but I think it's pretty easy to say that it is not going to be significant long-term. But it's definitely interesting, and it's definitely noteworthy. I have to admit that for the longest time, I wasn't even going to pick up this book. I was just going to be like, I'm going to let this play out. I'm a Spider-Man fan. I really like Spider-Man. I tried reading Spider-Man over the past year. I read about 5 or 6 issues in a row, and I wasn't feeling it. And I don't know that this change in the Spider-Man title is going to get me feeling it. But because this is kind of an event in the Spider-Man legacy of sorts, I'm interested. And once again, even though for the longest time I was resisting buying this book, it is a $10 comic book, but it's fat. It's fat. It's chock full of content, but it's expensive. For the longest time I was like, I'm going to skip it. But I actually just recently, kind of in part through preparing this video and making a pick and realizing that this book is what my pick should be, I was like, I should just buy it. I should just buy a copy of this. I'm not going to concern myself really with what cover I get. I'm just, I'm just going to go and I'm going to buy it. I'm going to read it. I'm going to see what's going on in Spider-Man's world, and then I'm going to move on with my life. I mean, he's Spider-Man. He's one of the biggest characters in all of comic books. I almost feel like it's in part my responsibility to know fully what is going on in Spider-Man's world just as a comic book fan. So that is basically it. As a comic book fan, I can't help but make Amazing Spider-Man issue number 74 my just one book pick for this week. All right, those are all the books that I want to mention this week. As always, I invite you to let me know down in the comments which, if any of these books you're excited about and you're really interested in checking out this week. Was one of my honorable mentions your just one book pick of the week, or do you agree with me that Amazing Spider-Man 74 is the one book that you would buy if you could buy just one book? And if it's some other book that I didn't mention at all, I would love to hear what one book you would buy that I didn't mention at all. I'm really interested in knowing what you all are interested in. If you like this video and you like this content, likes are appreciated by me. If you haven't already subscribed, I invite you to subscribe and hit the notification bell. I've said this a bunch of times, but there is a video that's coming out that's actually pretty interesting, at least to me. I just haven't been able to find the time to finish it. But I hope to do that very, very soon and have it out to all of you. All right. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you in the next one.